What is up, everybody? It is episode 24. I am one of your hosts, Adam Buckingham, alongside the best stick handler in the business, my best friend, Gary Seisel. How you doing today, Gary?
Excited.
Ready to roll. This is Two Jersey Kids, a video game podcast coming to you 2 times a week. Tuesday episode, we give you games coming out that week, and then we also discuss a topic for a good 30 to 45 minutes of an episode. This is the hour-long episode on Friday where we break down all the news that has been going on throughout the week. Sorry if my voice is messed up eventually throughout recording this episode because I am slightly sick, so don't hate me. Gary? Oh, I forgot to say, you can follow us on Twitter at Two Jersey Kids, and please, if you're a new listener, please subscribe and then rate us on iTunes. It'd be great. And if you're a continued listener, do it too. Gary, what have you been up to?
Chilling. We were supposed to get a snowstorm up here. I'm not sure if you're aware, but that
I
didn't
tweeted
really
out a hashtag.
Materialize.
What is it? Snow. It was like Snowstorm 2017. Did you get any snow?
Dude, it was like 2 inches. It was
nice.
an absolute just joke of
Better
a snowstorm.
Than what
but
we got nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm kind of happy it didn't really snow at all because I kind of hate it now, being an adult and having to drive places. So that was appreciated. But gaming wise, I haven't had a chance to really play any PS4 lately. So I usually play Battlefield 1 if I'm playing any PS4, but I haven't been able to connect with my friends lately. They've been on different times than me. So I've been playing a lot of KOTOR 2. No surprise. KOTOR 2.
Again, still KOTOR.
But a female Darkseid character. Again, I've never done it in this game either, so I'm doing it now.
I think you told me this on our Tuesday episode, that it's fascinating.
Well, I did the female Darkseid character in KOTOR 1.
Oh,
and now I'm doing it
and
second
now
game,
KOTOR 2.
So. Yes,
Shit.
indeed.
Gary's sexist. He never did a bad girl, basically.
It just didn't feel right, but it feels right now. I don't know. I've changed.
That sounds strange.
but it's a great game, though. Seriously. I was saying to you before this podcast that I just want them to make a movie that's dark and adult themed for Star Wars, but it'll never happen because I don't think the money would be there. But
hey, it worked in the superhero franchise. Look at Deadpool. Just gotta make a good movie that people will go to.
It's true.
Yes, it is true. I only speak the truth.
Yeah, you're amazing. So what have you been up to?
Thank you.
Yeah, there you
go. What have I been up to this week? I haven't been playing too much video games. Well, I've been playing some the Earthlock. I always want to say Earth Trek because my girlfriend would go rock climbing at this place called Earth Trek, and that's always in my brain now. It's stuck in my brain as Earth Trek, but it's actually Earthlock Festival of Magic. I know I've been saying this. I've been playing it. I am 12 hours in. I should be close to done, even though it only says I'm 40% of the way done, but maybe that's based off of other things you can do throughout the game. I'm just trying to finally finish it so I can thoroughly do the review and discuss it more on a singular episode. I don't want to spoil anything of how I'm feeling it, but it's decent, I guess. So far, I don't want to go too much into my feelings. But before this, the For Honor open beta came out, and it'll be going from this Thursday to Sunday, the 12th, I believe, to the end of the day on the 12th. So maybe me and Gary will finally play it sometime. But I was playing it before we recorded just to get a feeling of it. It feels great, honestly. The combat's very intuitive, very simple. I think everybody out there knows what the For Honor combat is. If you don't know, you just lock on to another player, basically, with holding L1. So it's kind of just normal lock-on mode. And you have 3 directions. You have right, left, and top, and you choose the attack. You defend automatically if you're holding the stick up and the enemy attacks up, which indicates from indicator on their side. So you correspond it. You'll block. You can guard break with square. So you break their guard and you get a few attacks in. There's right now in the open beta. There's 12 different classes. There's 12 different characters, 3 for each class so far. So for knights or samurai or Vikings. Right now I'm playing, I don't know what it's called, but it's dual-wield Viking dude. Fucking badass. That's all I have to say. What were you saying, Gary? You're about to say something.
I was just going to say it's badass, but then you said badass, so it'd be kind of redundant.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's honestly cool moments in the game. First game mode I played, my team got their ass kicked. I went up against. It seemed like this guy knew what he was doing. It felt like I was fighting a ninja, but he was a Viking, just flying at me, hitting me left and right. Couldn't block him. I died multiple times to him. We got blown out. The scores I forget what the scores to, 1,500. It was like 1,500 to 600, which was a blowout. Got fucking annihilated. The next game mode, though, when we played Deathmatch on a different map, different people I was playing with, fucking held my own. I think I had 6 takedowns. It was pretty sick the last round. I was telling you before this. Got knocked off the edge from some slippery samurai douchebag. Knocked me off. I died, probably because me being an idiot and falling into the trap. But I got revived. It then became 2 people on their side were down, 2 people on our side were down. They revived both of us, and then we all met in the middle, just had like a stare down for a few seconds, which was fucking awesome. And then we just like took one on each side and just went to battle. It was gnarly. It was awesome. But I've been enjoying it. I don't know how this game's going to perform when it does come out next week. If it's going to have the longevity of, say, a Destiny or Division, because it does have that aspect of those games where you battle, and then after you win or lose, you scavenge the battlefield, and you gain different armor and weapons to put on to attach to your certain character, which is kind of cool. So they have this collecting thing to it. Of course, there's always going to be those packs that you can purchase with in-game currency, not actual, I don't think outside money.
Pay to win.
Probably eventually we'll have that, but it boosts your stats slightly, not ridiculously. So, and then they also surprisingly have this, I didn't expect this, they have like this overdrawn map. You know how you see in some games where you get these war assets at the end of a matchmaking game, so you go to the map and see which battle your side, the Vikings or Knights or Samurais, whichever faction you chose at the beginning, is struggling on the map, and you can choose to attack a certain area if you're losing that, and you can gain more percentage towards that. And at the end of a few days, you see who wins, I guess, and if you're in the faction that wins, you get extra armor or weapons and so on. It's kind of cool. It's really cool, the collecting aspect. I'm just curious how they're gonna the longevity of the game. Are they gonna add like DLC that will make it feel fresh with more factions coming in, more characters? Is there gonna be? I thought there was supposed to be a single player to this game, so we'll see how that works out. I don't know how single player is gonna work for this game because it seems like it's meant for multiplayer specifically, but it'd be kind of cool going through single player and playing it using that combat style. I don't know. It's rather cool. Gary, download it. It's open beta. Fucking do it.
I hope I have enough time, but yeah, I will definitely look into that game. Looks pretty badass.
You'll definitely look at it on the PSN store and then scroll right by.
It's a possibility.
Fuck you. Moving on to the games. Well, no, games. No, I was going to move on to the articles, but then I realized because Gary did it last minute that we have to do his normal segment, which he forgot last week. I'm putting him on the spot. Gary Doe, go, do it.
This week in gaming history, Adam helped me hastily prepare this short, brief list. But anyway, back this week in 2010, BioShock 2 was released on Windows. So obviously the sequel to the original BioShock, taking place back in Rapture, I think maybe about 10 or 15 years later after the original game. A lot of people felt that this game didn't really live up to the hype, didn't really perform as well as the first game, but I thought it was a decent sequel, enjoyable. Next, I have NHL 2K released on Dreamcast in 2000. So this is the first of the 2K NHL series. A lot of these games I played, back in the day, I was a big EA fan. That's kind of soured over the years as they've held a monopoly on the NHL.
Wait, you hate EA?
Yeah, to some degree.
You didn't know Gary's just a hater of everything, all things.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'm a hater of companies that monopolize a market and then just release lame-ass entries year after year. No changes whatsoever. But
I mean, they do well review score-wise. Doesn't that mean they're good? Of course they do. What do you mean, of course they do?
Well, because if you play this game and, like, just a short session, like a day or two, of course it's going to look great. The game does look awesome.
Gary, didn't you review NHL 17 for Two Jersey Kids, and weren't you saying good things about it?
It was good. No, I enjoy the game. There are some serious problems though with the game online, especially with the way the game performs, such as out shooting a team 29-5 and losing. That sort of pisses me off. But anyway, back to the original topic before I was taken off by Adam.
This wasn't an EA game.
Oh, I know. But NHL 2K, back in the day, I was an EA fan. But I did have some NHL 2K games as well. NHL 2K5 was probably my favorite 2K NHL game. Just had so many, it was such a deep game. It was obviously like the ESPN was still making the game, so they had the ESPN music, the theme, the announcers. It was just
sorry, I think that's baseball tonight.
No, I think honestly it would work for that too. But yeah, it was just great in general. So that was this week in gaming history. Next week I'll have a longer list, I think, because I won't be so pressed for time. But
longer list? We don't even have that much time to get through it. We have a lot of topics to go through, Gary. Not a short amount of time. Oh my God, let's get into it. The first article I thought was pretty fascinating when I saw it. It's kind of an interesting dilemma they have going on. Cecilia Anastasio over at Kotaku writes, the fight over how to play Overwatch on consoles. There's a fight, apparently, according to her. Since last week, Overwatch console players have flooded forums with denunciations, is that the right way to say it? Of so-called cheaters who play with a mouse and keyboard setup. That way, they'll nail the headshots and swift movements that console players must work hard to master. Players stuck with the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 controllers call mouse and keyboard conversion devices an unfair advantage, but gamers with disability call it a crucial tool. On Battle.net, or just Battle.net as people call it, Overwatch game director Jeff Kaplan posted an unusual terse message rejecting the use of mouse and keyboard on console. He called for a full stop on Xbox and PlayStation's recognition of input conversion devices, or open and easy support for all console players choosing mouse and keyboard, just making sure everyone's paying attention and look at their, devices as maybe they broke. I don't know. Sorry, struggling with reading. A vocal majority of Overwatch fans rally behind him, but for America's several million gamers with disabilities, the input conversion technology that allows for mouse and keyboard console play is what makes their favorite game accessible. Steve Spoon, is that how you say it, Spoon? That's kind of cool. CEO of Able Gamers told me that a block on these devices would prove, quote, disastrous for gamers with disabilities, end quote. He added that, quote, such a system-wide ban would not only eliminate mouse and keyboard, it would also block out almost all of assistive technology we give to people with disabilities to be able to play on consoles, end quote. Mouse and keyboard input converters have been around for nearly a decade. The technology translates mouse and keyboard inputs into an input that a controller recognizes as a console controller. Essentially, it maps a console controller's commands onto a PC's mouse and keyboard. There's a significant demand for the equipment because it lets players aim and shoot with improved accuracy and speed. For snipers especially, it gives players an undeniable edge. On Xbox One, mouse and keyboard play isn't natively supportive. However, on PS4 it is, but players must purchase peripherals. Input conversion devices are intermediary, but they have to be good otherwise. But they have to be good otherwise the mouse will feel jerky and unnatural. Gary, what are your thoughts on this? I thought this was kind of fascinating because you have two sides of the argument saying it's unfair to certain gamers, but then you're alienating people with disabilities where they can only play with mouse and keyboards, and they don't, I guess, have a PC to play on where it would be more likely that they can use it and more, not advantageous, but even playing field.
When I used to play Destiny religiously, there was rumors that some of the streamers, the better known streamers, or the really good players, were using mouse and keyboards, and it's very annoying. It's hard to tell when you're actually facing somebody that is using a mouse and keyboard. I'm not really sure if it's possible, unless they're pulling off some crazy quick shots on you from point blank, maybe. But I think it's unfair, obviously, to the community in a game if you have people using they're basically cheating by using mouse and keyboards. I mean, I know a lot of streamers use SCUF controllers, which are basically controllers that have they have paddles on them that basically allow you to, in Destiny's case, you can I guess like button map, like circle to a paddle, and it allows you to hold down the paddle and shoot at the same time to like revive a teammate and shoot, which wouldn't be otherwise possible with a regular controller.
Well, I mean, if you have the
So,
Xbox Elite controller, you can.
yeah, is that true?
Yeah, because the
Like
Xbox Elite, you can map buttons because they have paddles on the back.
Well, I didn't know that, but
Yeah, fucking do
well,
your
at least
research, Gary.
well, I don't have an Xbox, so go to hell. But no, I mean, it obviously sucks that you know there's people using mouse and keyboards against people that don't have them. But like they said, you really can't ban them because you have a group of people that are obviously disabled that can't use a controller, so they have to use a mouse and keyboard. Now, my theory, is it possible? I don't know how possible it is, but is it possible that they could have some sort of like, I guess like a community that is, I don't know. Oh, I guess it wouldn't work really, but like you could have like a community where it's like disabled people that can play with their mouse and keyboard or however they please, but they play with themselves. But then, if that was the case, obviously you would alienate them from people, maybe friends they've made in the game, and they wouldn't be able to play with them anymore. So it probably wouldn't work. But
yeah, it'd be interesting if there was a way for it seems pie in the sky, but for the game or the console itself to recognize if there's that conversion input in and somehow move them over to other PC gamers or other people using those conversion devices and have them separately into a map. But then you run into that point. That is a good point you make about alienate them, and maybe they want to play with people that have actual controllers. So it's kind of a tough situation to be in. One hand, it makes sense because it's definitely, if you look at videos of people playing with a mouse and keyboard, it's a lot easier to register where you're going to shoot, essentially. It seems pretty easy. The slightest movements, you can go from missing to hitting them in the head. It's a lot easier to aim, which many people have said. But I don't know where I'm going. This is the sickness taking over, where I just go like zone out, or I go on a train of thought and then just so slowly just drool into the mic. That's
that's kind of how I feel. Meds. I always feel that. Well, I always kind of feel that way after I work out, which is why I had that monster before I jumped on here, because I go into like a coma almost. I can't really think straight.
Gary hitting the gym. Ladies, hit him up. Moving on. Wolfenstein: The New Order's devs' next game is, quote, fucking bananas, end quote, Bethesda boss says. Eddie Machuch. I like saying Machuch. I don't even think that's how you pronounce it, but I like saying Machuch. Over at GameSpot writes, it's been rumored for a long time now that Wolfenstein: The New Order developer Machine Game is making a sequel as its next project. It has not been formally announced, but now Bethesda marketing executive Pete Hines has teased it again. Appearing on the latest Kinda Funny Games cast, Hines said he's already played this game and it is, quote, fucking bananas, end quote. Quote, Machine Games has been hard at work on something, which I can tell you I have played, end quote. He explained, quote, it is fucking bananas. And just more bananas galore, apparently. It is fucking bananas, and I can't wait to show you what it is, end quote. Host Greg Miller asked if the game will be revealed at E3 2017. Hines didn't respond to this directly, but he said, quote, I'll let you know when, end quote. The next game from Machine Game is widely believed to be a sequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order, a mock CM.X screen, I think that's how you say it, flashed on screen during Bethesda's E3 2016 briefing that showcased an unknown property called, quote, the New Colossus, end quote, with a reveal date listed as only asterisks, which is, you can see, or dashes. It's not clear what the New Colossus is at the moment. It could be the name of the rumored sequel, an expansion, or something else entirely. New Colossus may refer to a sonnet by Emma Lazarus, which, in addition to appearing on the base of the Statue of Liberty, was also recited by Wolfenstein protagonist B.J. Blazkowicz at the end of The New Order. I'm actually pretty excited about this game. Or a sequel to this game. I played The New Order on PlayStation 4. It was surprisingly really good. It came out of nowhere. Unfortunately, the beginning of the game sort of had a long, drawn-out process. It was kind of boring. It was the stereotypical. But as the game moved on and on, it got more fascinating into the alternate reality of the Nazis taking over in the 1960s. And you're waking up, B.J. Blazkowicz wakes up from a coma. there are certain things that I would like them to tweak. They had the old style where you had to run around and use, what was it, square or X to pick up ammo, essentially. So you're picking up, like, constantly have to hit square to pick up things instead of just Call of Duty style where you run over it and it just automatically replenishes it. But I really like the game that. Sorry, Gary, but before, it had its very difficult moments, especially at the end, the final boss fight, which is fucking ridiculous. Fighting this guy who's in basically a mech in this closed off corridor, trying to fight him off basically with whatever you got. It took me multiple times to. Actually, did I actually beat it? I think I came really close once. I don't think I ever fucking beat that fucking boss. It was ridiculous. Never did beat it. I need to go back and beat it. But I really enjoyed this game. It kind of surprised me. I got it for somewhat cheap because I was hearing good things from it, and it was on sale, so I finally got it, and it was pretty good. It was basically it was only story missions, so I like the stealth aspect to it along with the action portion of it. What were you saying, Gary?
Well, I mean, I don't really have much to add because this isn't like a game I've actually really played, but I just remember I had this game I got from a friend. Oh, here it is. It's actually on my shelf right now. It's for PlayStation 2, but it's a Wolfenstein game. I never touched it. I don't know why.
You got it from a friend and you never played it?
Yeah, he gave it to me. Well, it's also my PS2, which I would have to find the cables to actually power up.
When did he give it to you?
Oh, dude, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, probably.
And you never played it, never gave it back to him?
Well, he just gave it. He didn't ask for it back. That sort of thing. I'm not that kind of guy.
Man, you just stole that game.
Yeah, but I never touched it though. But maybe it's something I should take a look into. But yeah,
Gary, you put these two topics in here, so I'm gonna let you read them.
All right. Well,
were you not expecting to read two of them? You're just expecting one. Keep you on your toes, Gary.
Okay. Well, here we go. So
this is new. Gary's actually reading topics on the show. He's trying to take my spot, but I guess it makes sense because I am feeling under the weather, as you could tell, as I zoned out while reading an article.
You could always ask me to read these articles. I will gladly do it. Okay, so here we go. From Critical Hit Gaming, which was formerly LazyGamer.net. PlayStation 4 is going to get up to... What's up?
I said I did not know that. Jesus, Gary.
Now you know.
Fucking roll with the punches. Keep going.
You're interrupting me. Okay, so... Here we go. PlayStation 4 Pro's Boost Mode. So the idea is you're going to get 38% increase in performance. Now, what does this mean? Well, the article states, we told you that in addition to adding external HDD support, which is going to be an topic actually in a couple other articles here on our show, the next PlayStation 4 software update is bringing something that's going to make PlayStation 4 Pro's owners pretty happy. What the hell? Okay, sorry. God, I'm losing my mind. Right now, only games patched to take advantage of the superior hardware in the PlayStation 4 Pro use the increased graphical and processing power, but Boost Mode changes that. It'll let unpatched games tap into those extra clock cycles. While we're unfortunately not participating in the beta, Eurogamer's Digital Foundry is, and they've tested a number of games to see exactly how much of a performance increase unpatched games receive. As you'd imagine, it tends to be down to the games themselves, and games that have hard-coded frame rates like Destiny, go figure, receive no benefit whatsoever. Most games seem to receive some sort of performance bonus, with some receiving an increase of up to 38%. Woo!
Not as easy to read these articles on air, is it, Gary? It's not that easy.
When I haven't, throw it on me like last second.
Not
but yeah,
as
it's
easy,
fine.
Is it?
So this is from... I'm not even sure who this is from, but it's a quote, and I'm going to read it off a little bit. Boost Mode has been designed to provide better performance for those legacy titles that have not been patched to take advantage of the PS4 Pro's faster CPU and its faster and double-sized GPU, Sony told Eurogamer. So this is from Sony. This can provide a noticeable frame rate boost to some games with variable frame rate and can provide frame rate stability for games that are programmed to run at 30 hertz or 60 hertz. I believe that's the proper pronunciation there. Depending on the game, the increased CPU speed may also result in shorter load times. Boost Mode is not guaranteed to work with all titles, however. turning the setting off will allow the game to be played in a mode that replicates the standard PS4. As an aside, the older unpatched titles that run in boost mode are unaware that they are running on a PS4 Pro and consequently don't take full advantage of the PS4 Pro capabilities. Power consumption for these games will therefore be a bit lower compared to playing a newer title. So, boost mode, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Again.
But before you mention your discussion, let's just go into what you mentioned also about the external external hard drive.
Absolutely.
Article that was over by Wesley Copeland over at IGN. He writes, the PlayStation 4 is getting external hard drive support in the next system update. System update 4.5, codename Suzuki. I think that's it. Nope. Sasuke? I don't fucking know. Will finally let owners plug in a USB 3.0 external hard drive to expand the console's storage. HDDs up to 8 terabytes in size are supported, and transferring software or downloadable content can be managed via the settings menu. All applications stored on the external hard drive will show up on the main home screen. That's actually kind of cool. I just wanted to add in there so we don't have to go back and forth. We get them both combined. So, what were your thoughts, Gary?
Well, in terms of the boost mode, again, I'm not really too crazy about the PS4 Pro to begin with, so I don't really know how much the boost mode really intrigues me. But the update that's bringing the external hard drive is amazing. I can't say that enough. I really get tired of deleting a lot of games on my hard drive. You really can't have more than like 6 games, I feel like, without having to delete something. I know I had the Uncharted collection, which was like 70 gigs, had to delete that. Witcher, had to delete that because I was downloading or installing new games. So I'm really excited to actually buy an external hard drive, which can be like 2 terabytes, and they're relatively cheap. Plus, I've also never been a person that's really big into opening up my console and installing like just random like third-party software into my console. So, I'm really excited about this personally.
Yeah, for me, performance never matters when it comes to gaming. Other times it does matter. Jokes. I don't know. But the external hard drive is pretty cool for people that do download everything to the max, which happens to me all the time, trying to find storage, deleting, adding more things. So it's kind of cool that you can have an external hard drive. Looking up right now, if you want an 8 terabyte hard drive, I'm pretty certain that's what this is. I just searched 8 terabyte external hard drive, and they're going for 8 terabytes, going for $250, just FYI. This model, particularly for 2 terabytes, is only $100. So you can add a lot of external. That's kind of cool. I wonder how smoothly it will be to transfer from the external hard drive to the PS4 and vice versa, whether it will be rather quickly or if it will be an arduous and painful process.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping it'll be quick. But I mean, you said that you really didn't think performance is that important.
No, I don't.
To gaming. I mean, I would say
when it comes to PC gaming, I guess they want the absolute best when it comes to their mouse and keyboard, having the full feedback right away. But for me, performance, having the game, I don't think having a boost to the processing power of hardware can. If your game's bad, it's going to be bad. No amount of performance is going to help that. Honestly,
that's
true.
You
see great games that just they run horribly on high end. Like for example, Arkham Knight was a few years back it was crashing on a lot of PCs, wasn't working that well. You went to higher and higher end PCs. You finally got it working slightly, so performance didn't really. That was more of the coding aspect. So it's mostly how the developers code, I guess, the game for or create the game for the console space and make sure that they make a game that's compatible with the hardware that's there. I don't think performance really determines whether a game is good or not, honestly, of a console.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree completely. Not to mention and I think in today's age anyway, I think a lot of games perform pretty well on the console. There's never really a game. There's some games that are like dreadful frame rate problems, whatever, but most of the time, I think most games are pretty solid.
Last time the only time this generation I saw performance problems was Fallout 4 for PS4. There were certain portions of that game where
true.
the frame rate did drop for a little while, maybe like 30 seconds or so, but it came back. There's certain games that always push the hardware to the limit. But would a 38% boost help that out? I really don't know. Or is that just what was coded in? I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of. I feel like the number's kind of BS, but we'll see.
Gary, are you going to read this next one? Just try not to ejaculate into your pants.
Okay.
Make sure
anyway,
to read the original article first before the update. I feel like a parent trying to tell their kids what to do.
The original story? Okay, so anyway.
And the update.
Destiny 2 is going to be coming in 2017. So this is the original story. Activision Blizzard today reported earnings for its fourth quarter and full year ended December 31st. The company did not share any sales numbers for its games, but there were some notable takeaways. First, a full sequel to Destiny is still on the company's release schedule for 2017. A release date has not been announced, but Activision said the game will broaden the franchise's global reach. The game, of course, will also receive add-on content, which the company says sets the stage for growth. In November 2016, Activision CEO Eric Hirshberg said the sequel is being designed to both excite our highly engaged current players, but also to broaden the appeal even further, bring in new fans, and bringing back lapsed fans. That's me. Destiny 2, or whatever it ends up being called, is rumored to be in development for consoles as well as PC. Bungie is working on the game alongside co-developers High Moon Studios and Vicarious Visions. Last year, Hirshberg teased that Bungie found a way to deliver more Destiny 2 content faster. Bringing in 2 new studios could be the solution he referenced. It goes on to say more things, but basically, there was an update to this article recently. And it reads, Activision has elaborated a bit further about the new Destiny sequel, which Activision CEO Eric Hirshberg reiterated is on track for release this fall. He says, we've got a big reveal planned, and I'm going to let you know, or let the game do most of the talking, but I'll give you some broad strokes, he said during a Q&A with investors this afternoon. I think that our team, he continues, I think that our team and our great partners at Bungie are doing a very nice job on 2 fronts. One, if you're one of the millions of players who really invested in Destiny 1 and have put a lot of hours and passion into that game, you're going to love this game, and there's a lot more of what you love here. He continues, for anyone who either hasn't yet tried Destiny or hasn't played in a while, we think we've made a sequel that's going to have a lot for them to love too. The cornerstone of that is a giant, or a great, could be giant too, who knows. Great cinematic story that's been a real focus with a great cast of memorable, relatable characters coupled with some very nice ways to make the game more accessible to a casual player without losing anything that our core players love. We made it more accessible to someone who just wants to have a great, more casual first-person action experience. So, exciting news, sort of. Like I said before, I've kind of soured on the current Destiny game. Not maybe sour is the wrong word, but it's kind of just lost its appeal to me a little bit. I've done pretty much everything there is to be done in that game. So I've just kind of been doing other things recently. But I've heard right now you're getting a lot of rumors from people, like, oh, I have a brother who has another brother that says that this person said this. And, you're hearing things like, there's going to be a new raid. Yeah. Well, it's like these stupid stories you see on Instagram, like, oh, I heard from this guy that knows another guy that this is going to happen. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Removed. Yeah, exactly. So, I've heard rumors that, the new game's going to have longer raids that, I guess, provide greater rewards. I heard that the Cabal are going to be featured for once in this new sequel, which surprisingly, they weren't even featured in any of the expansions that released with Destiny. So,
quick question. Destiny noob here, even though I played it. Who's the Cabal again? Remind me, refresh me.
The Cabal are Mars. They're the big, gigantic
big
machines.
Guys. Oh, that makes sense.
Correct. So, it's going to be exciting to see what they do with Destiny 2. I think that the one thing I will say with Destiny that I think a lot of people that quit the game early on didn't realize is that they really did start paying attention to their players. Granted, a lot of things that people ask for, they still haven't fixed, but it might be because they really can't right now with this iteration of the game. So I think that they've learned from their mistakes, and I think you're going to see a much better game this time around. And to be honest, I'll probably end up buying it because I sunk about 40 to 50 days of game time into the first game. So
also, I would before we move on, I'd just like to mention my comments. First, that's bullshit when you say you're a Laps fan. Fuck you, Gary. That's not true at all. You're like the actual fan. Laps fan is not, you go up all the way to the end point, and then you stop before the end. The finish line is right there. That's not really a laps fan.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, I am
all the additional content you've done at all. So I don't think
absolutely.
you being a laps, that's not your laps fan is not you. Laps fan is me, who played it originally when it came out, stopped, came back for the Taken King, which Bungie finally developed something that was more story based, which is what they're known for, which is why people came back for the Taken King, which is why people liked it. So one thing that I noticed in the story, what does he mean? I'm just curious about global reach. I'm curious, is that just some PR mumbo jumbo speak trying to make it sound fascinating that's going to have a global reach?
Well, I think what he's trying to say is that the game that they're going to be developing is going to be like it's going to be just, available to a wider audience. Like right now, the game's so selective right now. It's such a grindy game, and it's basically all PvP based because the PvE portion of the game is very short lived. I mean, you have like a new raid that comes out, everybody plays it, gets it done, and then it's back to PvP again where you're playing in the Crucible. So I think that they're going to try to create a game now that has a combination of all these elements. And I was also reading that every month they're going to be releasing new content as well, every month to 2 months, that is. So I think that they're just trying to make the game as acceptable to a wide audience as possible, which can be good and bad, by the way.
The one thing I think about that I'm excited for is the cinematic story portion of what he mentioned, how there is going to be a cinematic story, how it's going to actually, hopefully, Bungie get back to what they're known for, which is the characters and the broad overarching story that takes place, like in the original Halo.
The biggest problem. See, I don't want to. The biggest problem though with this game, like with the story, if you're upset about the story, well, I'm sorry to say it, but there is no story in that game. They failed miserably, and right now, like I know I talked to one guy on Twitter earlier, and it was he wasn't really conversing with me. I responded to his post. He actually tweeted the Two Jersey Kids Twitter page, by the way. I just can't remember the damn name at this moment, but he was saying, but he was wondering if he should really bother with Destiny 2. And basically what I told him is that there really wasn't a story in Destiny 1, so it's not like you have to play catch up or read up on what happened. It was so disjointed that basically all the stories that were featured later on, like they were just expansion stories. They were short missions, like maybe 5 missions, if that. And that was it. So, if you're a new fan or someone that's interested in just getting into Destiny, it's fine because you're not going to miss out on anything.
What I want when they mention expansive universe, I want what it felt like they originally promised in the first one. I want to feel like that universe is large. I don't want to feel like I'm just looking down at a planet map where it's basically Mario 2 style with like different grids and you just go to a different level each time. I want to feel like the universe is a large place. I just want to feel like when you go to a planet, it's more organic when you run into missions and you're doing things. There's a lot of things going on in that planet. It's not just a basically wasteland, it seems like, of just a bunch of enemies that you go shoot and then ride on your, I forget what it's called, Sparrow. Go from place to place. Yeah, I mean. Yeah,
I agree with that. But I guess the last point here, I guess, I just...
Because we've been on Destiny long enough.
Well, I mean, yeah, we do have other topics, but I wonder where the game's really going to go, what direction they're going to take it, because obviously everybody has their opinion on what the game should be, but I just, I hope they don't get too caught up in all that and try to make the game like all these different things, and then eventually it doesn't really come together. It's just like a bunch of like random shit kind of just thrown together, but yeah. I don't get the impression that they're going to do that, so I don't think they're going to fail this twice. They really messed up with the first iteration of Destiny.
Well, so it wasn't. Well, I guess you didn't use the word failure, so it wasn't a failure per se because it seems like it did really well sales wise.
It was great that way.
It was on everybody's mind. Everyone knows what Destiny was. Every time a new expansion came out, the articles would skyrocket with the amount of views people would go to websites to get that exclusive content about Destiny. So, but it definitely did miss the mark when it came to certain things, certain promises.
The biggest problem they had, officially the last thing.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's just they just released a game that was just unfinished, half baked.
All right.
So
We need to keep rolling, Gary. We're talking too much about fucking Destiny 2. Who gives a shit about Destiny 2? It's not like, people are excited about Destiny 1.
Next time, don't include the article.
What?
Next time, don't include the article then.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to include 15 more articles going through.
Oh,
we would have plenty of time because I knew you were going to talk about it nonstop because you're an egotistical maniac. Moving on! Mass Effect Andromeda removed Paragon and the Paragon Renegade system to allow for old-school role-playing. Matt Porter over at IGN writes, in the original Mass Effect trilogy, your dialogue choices would very often give you points in either Renegade or Paragon, a sliding scale determining your overall morality. Mass Effect Andromeda's creative director, Mac Walters, has explained why this system is no more in Mass Effect Andromeda. Sorry. In her interview with the official Xbox magazine, Walters said the old system, quote, felt very Shepard, end quote. He goes on to say, it, quote, didn't really make sense if it weren't going to have Shepard as a protagonist, end quote. Walters said the new system is, quote, based more around agreeing and disagreeing, end quote. He said in the original trilogy, players would choose a dialogue response based on whether it was Paragon or Renegade and not actually think about what they were saying, which Adam input right here, which is kind of true. I want to be more Paragon, so I specifically went with Paragon because that's, I don't know, felt right. Quote, with agree and disagree, it changes by the circumstance, and it changes by the character you're talking to. So you have to actually be more engaged in what's going on to know if you're going to do that, end quote, said Walters. Quote, or no, sorry. You will also be able to respond in varying tones of voice to get your point across. Quote, we've added in 4 tones, and we'll talk a little more in the future. But they basically allow other types of characters to express themselves in one of 4 different ways, and sometimes one of 2 different ways. And I think that gets back to that more traditional role-playing sort of feeling, which is less, oh, Jesus. You ever have it where your computer just skips all the way to the top of the page?
Oh, yeah.
It just happened to me. Sorry. Let's start that sentence all over. I'm sorry. And I think that gets back to that more traditional role-playing sort of feeling, which is less about do I want to be good or bad and more about how do I want to express myself, end quote. It seems like they're going to be fleshing out more in the couple of weeks up and coming to Mass Effect Andromeda, which is crazy that it's coming out so soon. It just feels like it's been on the back burner for me. But I like that, I don't know, they're putting more of an emphasis on you paying attention to the story and how you feel about the story, whether or not, instead of doing the generic, oh, do I want to be the good guy or bad guy, and it automatically indicates what I will be by a certain dialogue choice, where it makes it easy so you don't have to really pay attention too much of how you think you would react in that situation or how this character react, whereas now you're engaged and you have your own feeling towards this, and it won't affect how you are perceived morality-wise, so you don't have that burden of being the good guy or the bad guy. What are your thoughts, Gary?
I think it'll be interesting to see. So say I make a decision in the game, and then you go online or something, and someone says they made a different decision than I did, and you have like an argument almost about like what's right and what's wrong. It'd be really interesting. I think this is going to make the game way more deep than it is. I mean, when you have like a Paragon and Renegade, like obviously everyone's like, oh, the Paragon, that's the good guy. He did this. But when you have several choices and you make those choices, and there's no such system in place, it's going to be interesting to see what people perceived to be like the right way in this game. I think it'll be very interesting, and I'm excited about it because I think the whole morality thing was getting kind of old anyway.
Yeah, old system that's not used as much anymore. Which in Horizon gameplays, there's not really morality. It just you make decisions based on that, and it's not like an overarching of how your character is, like whether the good guy or bad guy. It just affects that one certain little tiny story mission, which is kind of cool. Now,
and like
focus more on the story. Sorry, go.
Yeah, I mean, and it could also, I mean, there's not always a right and wrong in certain situations.
Yeah.
Both decisions might be terrible, but you got to make a decision anyway.
Yeah,
so
there's always going to be gray areas. Gary, you made me laugh because you added the same exact fucking article right underneath it. Do you know that?
What?
Allow for old school role playing. Yeah, fucking added the link to the same exact IGN article. Do you not have that?
I don't think so.
Nope.
I just added a comment.
No,
Okay.
It's good job, Gary.
I can take a picture of this and post it on Twitter to prove you wrong, but yeah.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Moving on.
Yeah.
NBA 2K E-League esports squads will be owned by NBA teams. Richard Lawler over at Engadget Games writes. I'm kind of excited about this article. In 2018, the NBA will team up with Take-Two, the maker of NBA 2K video game series, for a groundbreaking esports league. That's because this time, the actual NBA franchises will own esports teams competing for the championship, similar to the way teams can own or even share development league squads. There's no words on which teams will be the first ones to own one of the 8 to 12 initial teams in the, quote, NBA 2K E-League, end quote. Each one will feature 5 human players, and the plan is to eventually have one for each of the league's 30 teams. That's pretty insane. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick told the Wall Street Journal that it won't require competitors to travel since the internet, quote, gives us enormous flexibility to find the best players, end quote. We don't know when or how tryouts will take place, but each player will participate in it as a custom-created avatar. Not gonna lie, this is me inputting. This is fucking insane. Expect to see a heavy dose of promotion for the esports matchups during regular NBA broadcasts, as NBA Commissioner Adam Silver also told the Journal that coverage should include both online and television broadcasts. He also explained to the Associated Press why the league is giving this a try. Quote, there's going to be an opportunity for this first-of-a-kind league to attract a group of gamers who might be playing some other game. Now they can say, maybe I couldn't play for the Knicks because I didn't have the physical prowess to compete at that level, but I do have the mental and physical prowess to compete as an e-gamer for the e-Knicks, end quote. So there's, they show the tweets of them. For some reason, when I saw this and was reading the article earlier, it made me kind of happy. I don't know why. I was kind of excited that something mainstream is putting their backing behind the esports, and it's really freaking cool that they're having. I don't know why people are going to watch this, because it's not actual physical. You're not physically doing it. I guess you're just playing. I don't know how this is going to work, how people are going to react to it. I just think it's really cool that an actual mainstream franchise, the NBA, mainstream sport, what's the association, there it is getting behind esports, and they're backing this, which is ridiculous. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, I always thought that gaming would eventually be featured on TV in the end, it would actually become something that people watch, but I didn't think that this would be the direction that was taken. I was really surprised when I read this article. It kind of blew my mind. I was like, I never really thought of something like this where people could actually play for the Philadelphia 76ers.
The E-Sixers.
But you're not really playing on them. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
that's pretty sick,
personal,
honestly. Start trying out, people. Yeah. Start getting better.
My personal thing was, I always thought it'd be pretty cool if I could play for the E-Flyers, but of course, that's EA, which means that they're uncreative, and NHL, which means that it'll never happen because no one cares about the NHL in this country.
Damn.
So yeah, it's unfortunate truth. It's just not a big enough sport or market, but it'd be awesome. I think it's a great idea. I think it's just so different from what a lot of people are used to, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it
plays
works.
out.
I wonder how the money portion is going to work. If it's going to bring in how much additional revenue bring into the sports teams that are actually sponsoring or, sponsoring this sort of thing.
Yeah, I had a point, but I was just sort of, I don't know, it's really cool. I don't know how it's going to work. I feel like this is the type of esports that I'll watch more than I would if I was watching Dota or League of Legends. This, I think, is more fascinating.
It would be cool.
Because I know the rules in this game, NBA, it's pretty straightforward to follow for me, so I would definitely give it a look. If this becomes a thing, I would definitely check it out. Man, we have more articles to go through and not a lot of time. Moving on! Is the Switch indie-friendly? One developer's take. Russ Frustic over at Polygon writes, Nintendo's never had the best reputation when it comes to being welcoming to independent developers. While a few tiny developers have managed to release games on Nintendo platforms in recent years, the total numbers are a fraction of what you'd find on an Xbox or PlayStation. Is that likely to change with the Switch? We spoke to Tyrone Rodriguez, the president of Nicholas, whose company has 3 Switch games planned, including one launch title, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. Nicholas is one of the few smaller developers that has worked with Nintendo steadily in recent years. Quote, we were fortunate enough to have prototype developer hardware for the Wii U, 3DS, etc. So we already had a good relationship with Nintendo to get the Switch a little bit early, end quote, said Rodriguez. The insight into Nintendo platforms of yore has proven useful. Afterbirth Plus launched just last month on PC, and to see it transition to a console so quickly is almost unheard of in the indie space. A big part of that speed was thanks to Switch's new development tools, explained Rodriguez. Quote, the Switch is by far the easiest and most programmer-friendly so far, end quote. He said, quote, I know this sounds like lip service to Nintendo, but it's actually not. If this wasn't true, we wouldn't be able to get these games up and running as quickly as we have, and we wouldn't be able to have a launch title. It's light years ahead of what we were doing with the Wii U, end quote. Another effective technique was to unify their games across multiple platforms, further decreasing porting time. Achievements, for example. Quote, we put in hooks in so that the code will work on any platform. So, for example, if there was a console that didn't have achievements, you can't have achievements on that game, on those games. But in the case of Isaac, we built the achievements right into the game. It was vague. Moving on to the end quote, we used to enjoy the lack of developers coming to Nintendo consoles. It was a lot less competition, but it's not a bad thing. More good games on every platformer is good for the industry. I'm very happy Nintendo is trying to get more games for this platform, end quote. Gary, you had an interesting take, the classic Two Jersey Kids Nintendo hater.
Yeah, I was just going to say, despite what people say, or what Adam says anyway, claims, I think this is excellent news for the console. So, obviously, I mean, anytime you can increase the amount of games on your console, that's a good thing for your customers. So, I mean, if Nintendo can open the door to more indie developers, obviously that's a good thing. But I think, additionally, if this console is as programmer friendly as they claim, you know, you can potentially acquire other big name companies, get big name games, titles on your console, and you can, in theory, compete with, you know, the Xbox or even PS4. I think it's a great news for the console. Maybe it'll open the door to many opportunities for them.
I know there's also rumors of Stardew Valley and other indie games coming to Nintendo Switch. Is kind of cool. So if they make it developer friendly for these independent developers to bring their games over or develop games specifically for the Switch, I feel like this could be an avenue Nintendo Switch could benefit from. I believe if they start rebuilding those relationships with third parties, with indies, then maybe Nintendo can compete with, you know, the PS4 and the Xbox One sorts. But who knows with Nintendo? They're just off into La La Land sometimes, seems like. But moving on, I don't really need to read the article. It's pretty straightforward. South Park, The Fractured But Whole, has been delayed again. This is pretty unfortunate. It's coming sometime in the next fiscal year, which goes all the way up until March 2018 of March 2018. It's kind of sad because from what I remember them stating, it seemed like they had this development cycle. They worked out all the kinks with the original South Park Stick of Truth. They understood all the aspects to developing a game. The South Park creators, I forget their names, but I guess they're falling into maybe the same pitfalls or new pitfalls that are coming up because it seems like they're developing a whole different combat style, a whole different style game. I'm sure they have the story already written up, but it's just a different gameplay type. So it's kind of insane that it's happening again, which happened to them in the Stick of Truth, and it sounded like they didn't want to develop a game ever again just because of all the difficulties of creating that game. But it seemed like they were confident about this game, and they set a release date, and now it's getting pushed back even farther, which is kind of insane because I was so excited for this game. I don't know. It's kind of sad.
I got nothing to say. I'm not actually, I've never been really much of a South Park fan, so.
Their Stick of Truth is a hilarious game. It's like one of the few games I laughed at. But moving on to our normal Golden Cartridge segment, Ryan Donovan created the goldencartridge.com. You should check it out. We normally do a segment where it's like he does featured articles about crowdfunded, kickstarted games. So, the crowdfund me. The Grand Legacy Kickstarter returns. Ryan Donovan over at the Golden Cartridge writes, after receiving help from another group that shares the same passion, the Legrand Legacy Kickstarter returns with a lower amount and all the same hype. Oh man, I really love the in-depth story of Legrand Legacy the first time I talked about it. Apparently I talked about it before. And here we are again with a second chance for glory. So what has changed this time for developer Semisoft? Not much, actually, as the game was never the problem. It's always nice to see a Kickstarter take a second chance at attaining the dream. With the support of the community behind them and all the epicness from the original, all included this time, I am sure they will not have an issue getting funded. We'll see. Instead of going into it in-depth about the game, as he already has, first off, you'll be thrown into a fully immersive world. How immersive? How about a rich storyline with complete backstory set in a fantasy world? No, an epic original story track that will make your ears feel like they have seen things. That's a thing. Still not good enough for you? Okay, how about 3D models in fully stylized, hand-drawn 2D world with complete 3D cinematics. Not only will you be absorbed into the world, you will be fighting in the world. Action-packed, tactical, turn-based combat in a world willing to challenge those who are looking. Many players like me like to get my hands on the game before I just throw in some blind support and hope my money goes to something great. No worries, as there's an alpha demo you can play. Well, actually two. You can download the pre-alpha prologue or play it on Steam. The difference between these versions is several notable changes to the combat system. Later this week, he's going to live stream, so I think he already live streamed, so check it out. Overall, you cannot challenge the polish of the game. So much promise packed into this game. So yeah, it looks kind of a cool JRPG style, beautiful art style. I'm trying to check out where they're at.
I was actually looking at the trailer.
91% of their goal. They're almost there, folks. Help them out. What are you saying?
Yeah, I was looking at the trailer a little bit earlier just to get a grasp on what the game was offering. But the cool thing about the game is that they were saying that pretty much everything in the game is like hand drawn, like the environment. So it's just cool to see like what basically the amazing artwork that these people do when they create these games. Yeah,
it kind of gives me a feel of a little bit kind of like Earthlock of what I've been playing. However, it seems like it's more art, hand drawing, whereas compared to what I'm playing right now, it seems a lot more in depth with their classic level up. You have certain stats, you level them up. I don't know. It seems pretty cool. That's all I can say right now on it. I haven't really played it, but from what I see, it looks kind of cool. So check it out. Gary, did you want to read this last one?
Sure, why not?
It's a fucking long one, and my throat is killing me. Oh my god!
For the sake of time, I'll try to cut the article a little bit short. But anyway, this article is from GamesIndustry.biz. So basically, the title is it
Dring?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Is it time to overhaul how consumers pre-order games? Adam just said the author, so I think I'll begin now. Physical retailers are calling for a change in how video game pre-orders are conducted. They are speaking to publishers and platform holders over the possibility of selling games before the release date. Consumers can pick up the disc 1 to 3 weeks before launch. Such an annoying thing to say when you actually say it out loud.
1, 2, 3.
So you can pick it up 1 to 3 weeks before launch,
Yay,
but it will remain
everybody
locked.
Clap their hands for Gary. He did it.
Do not say anything to me about pronunciation. Don't. So anyway, continuing. The whole concept stems from the preloading service available in the digital space. Today, consumers can download a game via Steam, Xbox Live, and PSN before it's out. And, and the game becomes unlocked at midnight on launch day for immediate play after the obligatory day one patch. It makes sense to roll this out to other distribution channels, and it continues on from there. It's such a ridiculously long article, but basically it's the idea that instead of actually having to go back to a store after you pre-order the game, you can basically pre-order the game, you get it, and then on the day it's released, you basically are able to install it, play the game. So I don't really – I was reading this article earlier, and I don't really know. They were saying how – the idea of going back to the store is kind of like an antiquated notion. It's like, okay, I mean, I see it's sort of an inconvenience, but Jesus, are we becoming this lazy as a society that we just can't drive
100%.
back?
Yes.
Dear God. I mean, look, I can understand that, like, okay,
Convenience
maybe
always
some
wins
people,
out. Why do you think there's still Wawas around? Why do you think there's Royal Farms? Is there more convenient locations? People are lazy. They'll go there. Why do you think they order on Prime Pantry or Peapod? Because they're even lazier and don't want to leave their apartment. So don't give me this bullshit about it's antiquated thing. Shut up, Gary. You don't know shit.
Well, that was a quote that I had from the article that it was antiquated. Okay, but no, it's a different story though. I mean, I'm an online shopper, absolutely, but I don't really know if I can understand maybe if it's for like someone that lives farther away from a GameStop. Maybe they live like a half an hour away. It's convenient then because you can just buy the game 1 to 3 weeks before launch and get it home. So I can see the pros and cons.
Crazier
for this.
thing: just go to your PSN store or the Microsoft store. You have your credit card already there because you're gonna, I'm assuming, pay with the credit card or cash. Maybe you'll pay with cash, but I mean, you can just pay with your credit card online on the store, have it pre-ordered, and it'll pre-install the night before. Crazy idea, and there's not actual physical copies, so there's less likelihood of it running out. No way.
I'm not entirely sure. This article, I just don't even really understand too much why it was written. Because I just don't.
Opinion piece on how to bring physical stores back from the brink of digital. I just don't think that's why GameStop is branching off into different types of sales when it comes to like selling different figurines, and now they're into publishing. Is that they realize that they need different avenues of avenues for revenue. That is not going to be the physical game dealing physical copies of games. I feel like they realize that it's going to an end eventually. It's going to end. It's just going to happen.
Well, last point here for this, but the brick and mortar stores, there's only a few things that are really ever going to there's only a few brick and mortar stores that are ever really going to continue. It could be clothing because people always want to try on clothes, want to feel them, touch them, and then it's groceries.
Oh yeah, feel them and touch them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, this is going to die eventually. So I don't really see why you're basically prolonging the inevitable in which these, GameStop stores and all that stuff are going to be gone. I don't really think the pre-order, having people, being able to take it home a week before the game release is going to really end.
Take it. Gary, are you going to miss GameStop if it does eventually go, it just dies?
No, I haven't been to a GameStop in God knows how long. I don't even give a damn if I ever go back, to be honest with you.
Damn. Gary doesn't give a fuck. Sorry. Is that all you have to say on this?
Yeah. No, we've been at this for a while now, actually. So, yeah, in the interest of time, the fact that article was rather strange. Yeah.
Well, Gary, that has been episode 24. How do you feel about that episode? What would you want on a scale of 62 to a 1, 1, 1, what would you give this episode? What would you give it rating wise?
Oh, I would give it a 1, 1, 1.
Damn!
No, it took
Gary's hooked about this episode.
It took me a little bit to get the ball rolling here on the help article was it? I can't remember which one it was, but it took me a second to get my brain going to read the articles again. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought we got some interesting stories out there. It was actually a bigger news week than I thought it was going to be. I was looking earlier on in the week for news stories, and I'm like, Jesus, where are the stories? This is horrendous. But
this is why I put in the work. I do the work.
Yeah.
I do the
you're
work.
Amazing.
Gotta
Here's
work,
the best.
Work. Sorry, I'm not going to sing that.
Oh, God. Sounds terrible.
What, you don't like that song?
I like Drake, but that song's horrendous.
I don't think Drake sings that song.
That song, that work song?
You don't got to go to work.
Is that the song?
Yeah, that's not Drake.
Am I thinking of something different?
You're thinking of something different.
What the hell song
When the
is
hotline bling.
No, that's not it.
A thing. That song? No? We can talk about it.
It's completely different than what you're singing.
Well, this has been episode 24 of Two Jersey Kids, the Friday episode. Remember, folks, we release 2 episodes a week. What?
He's with that song with Rihanna in that song, that work song. Yeah.
Okay,
whatever.
Gary, let me fucking do my outro. Damn it.
Do your spiel. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do my spiel. Well, that has been episode 24. If you didn't know already, fucking Gary, god damn it, why is he here? It's been episode 24 where we are Two Jersey Kids. We release 2 episodes every week, a Tuesday and a Friday episode. Tuesday, we tell you all the games releasing that week, and then we do a topic. If it's submitted by you, that'd be great. You can submit your topics at 2JerseyKids on Twitter or 2JerseyKids@gmail.com. We would love to get a topic to discuss and get your opinions on it beforehand. Please respond when we ask questions on Twitter because we will reference them in the podcast. Trust me, we will. Allison already knows all about that. She criticizes us, and we make sure to put it in here because we don't give a shit. But this has been 2 Jersey Kids. We love you all. Gary, say bye.
Adios.
Remember, guys, please go rate us and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or the podcast service that you use. We really appreciate it. And share us with your friends or people that you hate if you don't like the podcast and you want to get back at them. Who knows? But this has been 2 Jersey Kids. We love you all. We love you all. We appreciate you all for listening. Have a good one. Keep playing those games. Bye.